The drama surrounding Lexie Hull and Aya Wilson wasn't just a dust-up in the paint. It was the spark that ignited a seismic shift in the WNBA's power structure. On a night when the Las Vegas Aces expected business as usual, they walked into Indianapolis and got bulldozed. What unfolded on the hardwood wasn't just a loss for the reigning champions. It was a full-blown reckoning, led by a team that had finally had enough of being overlooked, outshined, and outmuscled. This game didn't feature Caitlin Clark, and that, somehow, made the statement even louder. From the opening tip, the Indiana Fever weren't just aggressive, they were surgical. They came out with a purpose so palpable you could feel it through the screen. Within minutes, it was clear this wasn't going to be a routine Aces victory. The Fever weren't waiting for respect anymore, they were taking it. The first quarter was a warning shot. Indiana stormed ahead 21-4, playing like a team possessed. They sliced through Vegas defense, locked them down on the other end, and dared the so-called dynasty to answer. They never did. And in that first stretch alone, the Aces' vaunted offense looked confused, chaotic, and utterly unprepared. But the real story of this game, the moment the temperature turned from hot to boiling, came in the third quarter. Lexie Hull, a player who's quietly built a reputation on hustle and resilience, boxed out Aya Wilson with textbook form. It was the kind of play you'd freeze frame and show at clinics. But as Hull claimed what should have been a routine rebound, Wilson came crashing in from behind, clambering over her shoulders, arms extended, hands flailing. It wasn't just a foul, it was a wrestling move. And yet, somehow, miraculously, the whistle didn't come. Instead of the clear over-the-back call, the refs ruled it a jump ball. A jump ball. On a night when the Fever were already battling a loaded roster, now they had to fight the officials, too. The crowd erupted. Stephanie White exploded. Even the broadcasters couldn't hide their disbelief. This wasn't just a missed call, it was an insult to the game's fundamentals. But what happened next was the moment this young Indiana team showed who they really are. They didn't unravel. They didn't start arguing or sulking. They turned their fury into fuel and ripped the heart out of Vegas game. By halftime, the Fever led 46-24. By the third quarter's end, it was 68-47. And by the final buzzer, it was a jaw-dropping 81-54. Let that score sink in. 81-54. Against the defending champs. Without their franchise superstar. This wasn't a win. It was a bloodletting. And Aya Wilson, for all her whistles and stat padding, couldn't stop it. She finished with 29 points, sure, but 11 of those came from the free throw line. Nearly as many as the entire Indiana team combined. It was a hollow performance, inflated by generous officiating and rendered meaningless by a total collapse around her. The rest of the Aces, a statistical graveyard. 7 for 43 shooting. That's not just cold, it's Arctic. No player besides Wilson cracked double digits. Chelsea Gray, often hailed as a top-tier floor general, disappeared in plain sight. 2 points, 2 assists, 5 turnovers. That's not leadership. That's lifelessness. Meanwhile, on the other bench, Caitlin Clark didn't need to log a single minute to dominate the atmosphere. Her energy, her presence, her fire, radiating from the sideline, was contagious. Every Fever run was met with Clark springing off the bench, fists clenched, face beaming. She wasn't playing, but she was orchestrating something bigger, belief. You could see it on the faces of every Fever player. They weren't just playing well, they were playing for each other. And leading that charge was Lexie Hull. If Wilson thought she could break Hull's rhythm with brute force, she was wrong. Hull only got stronger. She dove for loose balls, boxed out like her career depended on it, and set the emotional tone for the team. She didn't need revenge, she had the scoreboard. And when the buzzer sounded, she had something far more valuable: respect. The performance was punctuated by Kelsey Mitchell's masterclass, 25 points and 6 assists, carving up the Aces' defense like a surgeon. Aaliyah Boston added 20 points and 7 boards, establishing herself as the interior presence Vegas had no answer for. Natasha Howard? She played like she had a personal vendetta, dropping 11 points, snagging 10 rebounds, and walking away with the Commissioner's Cup MVP. This wasn't a three-player show, it was a symphony. And it was perfectly conducted. Let's talk numbers, because they tell a brutal truth. The Aces shot 26% from the field, their lowest mark in 15 years. They mustered just 7 points in the fourth quarter. 7. In a professional basketball game, Indiana forced 17 turnovers and outscored Vegas by a staggering 28-10 margin in the paint during the first half alone. And then there's the timing. This wasn't some fluke mid-season win when the stars aligned. This came just days after Indiana won the Commissioner's Cup. It would have been easy to let down, to let the adrenaline fade. Instead, the Fever looked even sharper. Their defense, somehow, got nastier. Their chemistry tighter. Their confidence sky high. This team has tasted belief now, and they're addicted to it. In the fourth quarter, Stephanie White reached her boiling point. After another frustrating whistle, she exploded on the sideline, earning a technical and unleashing months of pent-up exasperation. Her players, far from rattled, responded with a flurry of dagger shots that buried the Aces for good. That's the sign of a team clicking, not just with their coach, but with each other. They knew what that outburst meant. It wasn't about anger. It was about accountability. And the Fever delivered. Meanwhile, the Aces bench looked like a funeral procession. Slouched shoulders. Blank stares. Mouths agape. They weren't just losing, they were being exposed. The depth they bragged about all season long vanished into thin air. Their cohesion crumbled under pressure. They looked like a group of individuals, not a team. Contrast that with Indiana. Even rookies like Temi Fagbenel and Celeste Taylor came in and contributed to the chaos, whether it was by contesting shots, chasing rebounds, or simply keeping the energy at a fever pitch. The rotation was tight, but everyone had a role, and everyone executed. It was the kind of performance that makes a locker room believe in magic. The moment the buzzer sounded, the court erupted. Smiles. Chest bumps. Pure elation. And right in the middle of it all, Caitlin Clark, laughing, hugging, screaming like she'd just won the finals. She didn't score a single point. She didn't need to. Her team had already delivered the message loud and clear. The WNBA's hierarchy is shifting. Las Vegas used to be the standard. They were the bullies of the league, the ones who dared teams to come for the crown and laughed when nobody could. But that laugh died in Indiana. That swagger wilted. Because the Fever didn't just beat them, they embarrassed them. And the fact that they did it without their biggest weapon only underscores the storm that's brewing. This wasn't about one game. This was about drawing a line in the sand. The Indiana Fever are no longer rebuilding. They're no longer scrappy underdogs. They're here. And they're dangerous. So what does this mean for the rest of the league? It means that those pretty stats and glitzy highlight reels aren't going to save you when Indiana walks into your arena. It means that if you don't bring connected basketball, relentless defense, and unbreakable chemistry, you're getting run off the floor. The Fever just set the tone for the second half of the season. And with Clark set to return, their ceiling just got even higher. Aya Wilson may have gotten the whistles. She may have gotten the points. But she didn't get the win. And when the lights were brightest, it wasn't the so-called dynasty that delivered. It was Lexie Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, and a Fever squad that's starting to smell something new in the air: respect. So here's the question: has the torch been passed? Because what the Fever did to the Aces wasn't an accident. It was a statement. And if you're Vegas, you better look in the mirror quick, because Indiana just took everything you thought you were and shattered it in 40 minutes flat. If you ride with the Fever, drop a CC and Lexie in the comments. What did you think of the officiating? Are the Aces falling apart or just reloading? And how dangerous is this Indiana squad once Caitlin Clark returns? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this WNBA season, it's about to get even wilder.